In a faraway land, hidden behind mountains cloaked in mist, there existed the enchanted kingdom of Kivanga. This was a realm of beauty, magic, and peace, ruled by the wise King Zaki and his compassionate Queen Malakai. Kivanga was known across all lands for its abundance and prosperity, where the rivers sparkled like diamonds, and every tree bore fruit year-round. But the kingdom's true heart lay in the crimson lotus, a mystical flower that bloomed once every century and protected the kingdom from harm. For centuries, the people of Kivanga had lived in peace, shielded by the power of the crimson lotus, until one fateful day when a jealous sorcerer named Malakai cast a terrible curse upon the land. Consumed by his desire for power, Malakai sought to take the crimson lotus for himself. His spell twisted the once vibrant kingdom into a shadow of its former self. The skies turned gray, the rivers dried up, and the once lush forests withered away. Worst of all, the crimson lotus closed its petals, and without it, the kingdom was doomed to fall into eternal darkness. As the curse took hold, a prophecy was remembered: only the purest heart, untouched by greed or hatred, can awaken the crimson lotus and restore the light of Kivanga. Yet the people despaired. No one knew who could fulfill such a prophecy. Enter Nyah, the village girl, far from the royal palace, in the small village of Zawiya lived a young girl named Nyah. She was an orphan raised by her grandmother, an herbalist and healer for the village. Nyah had always been curious and adventurous, often wandering the forests in search of rare herbs. Despite her humble beginnings, she was known for her kindness, always putting others before herself. One day, as Nyah was gathering herbs, she stumbled upon an old woman lying unconscious near a stream that had long dried up. Without hesitation, Nyah brought the woman back to her home and nursed her back to health. Unknown to Nyah, this was no ordinary woman. She was Amma, a powerful enchantress and guardian of the Crimson Lotus. Upon waking, Amma revealed her identity to Nyah and told her of the prophecy. She explained that Malakai's curse could only be broken by someone with a pure heart, and she believed that Nyah might be the one the prophecy spoke of. Terrified but determined, Nyah agreed to undertake the dangerous journey to the crystal cave, where the crimson lotus was hidden. The journey begins, with Amma as her guide. Nyah set off on her journey. But the path was fraught with danger. Malakai's dark magic had turned the once peaceful kingdom into a land filled with sinister creatures, twisted versions of animals and spirits that had once protected Kivanga. Nyah and Amma faced treacherous forests, where trees whispered warnings, and rivers that flowed backward. Yet Nyah's bravery never faltered. She used her knowledge of herbs to outwit many of the dangers they faced. At night, Amma would tell Nyah stories of the kingdom before the curse, stories that filled Nyah with hope and a growing determination to save her people. As the journey continued, Nyah began to discover that she possessed powers she never knew existed. Simple spells came to her effortlessly, as if the magic of Kivanga itself flowed through her veins, but the closer they came to the crystal cave, the more Malakai sensed their presence. Desperate to stop them, he sent his most terrifying creation, the shadow beast, to hunt them down. This creature could slip in and out of the darkness, tracking their every move. The battle with the shadow beast. One evening, as they camped near a sacred grove, the shadow beast attacked. Nyah and Amma were unprepared for the creature's speed and strength. The beast cornered them, its eyes glowing red with malice. Amma attempted to use her magic to fend it off, but the beast's dark aura overpowered her. At that moment, Nyah felt something stir deep within her. Summoning all her courage, she stepped forward, chanting an ancient spell her grandmother had taught her as a child, though she never understood its true meaning. As the words flowed from her lips, a blinding light erupted from her hands. The shadow beast howled in pain, retreating into the darkness, but not before leaving a deep scar on Amma's arm. Though victorious, Amma was gravely wounded. As they continued their journey, the strain of her injury began to take its toll. Nyah's magic, however powerful, was still untamed, and she feared she wouldn't be able to protect Amma from Malakai's growing wrath. Their first major obstacle lay ahead: the river of memory. The river's waters were enchanted, reflecting the deepest fears and regrets of those who crossed it. Many had tried, but few had ever made it to the other side. Alma warned Nyah that crossing the river would test her inner strength, for only by confronting her past could she continue. As Nyah stepped into the shallow waters, the river began to glow, showing her visions from her past. She saw her parents, who had died when she was very young, their faces filled with sorrow. She saw her village in despair, her people hungry and afraid. But the most painful vision of all was her own. Nyah saw herself standing before the crimson lotus, failing to awaken it, watching the kingdom fall into ruin. Tears streamed down her face as the weight of her fears and self-doubt overwhelmed her. Alma, barely able to stand, called out to her, urging her not to give in. Nyah closed her eyes, remembering the words of her grandmother, "You are stronger than you know." With renewed resolve, she pushed forward, ignoring the painful visions until she reached the other side, but as they crossed the river, Nyah noticed that Alma was growing weaker. The shadow beast's attack had done more damage than they had realized. Alma revealed that there was only one way to heal her: a rare flower called the moonshade blossom, which grew in the treacherous Valley of Echoes. Nyah faced a difficult choice: continue to the crystal cave and save the kingdom, or venture into the deadly valley to save her friend. Her heart heavy with the weight of her decision, Nyah chose to go to the Valley of Echoes, determined not to lose Alma, the one person who believed in her. Part 2 continues as Nyah ventures into the Valley of Echoes and faces Malakai's greatest challenge yet. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with Part 2.